What's going on? Javier with the Javier show. Make sure you say it twice. All right, y'all. It's Tom Macdonald White Boy reaction. So I'm excited. Are y'all excited? Let's get it.
1 in a million to one villain. Too hot to be in the kitchen. I'll end up melting the ceiling.
All right, so I did a poll on my YouTube channel and I asked people what they wanted me to react to next. And White Boy got the most votes. So that's what we're going to do. Not only are we going to do that, I'm going to actually do a reaction later on in the week to the response of White Boy called This House. So be on the lookout for that. And before I get into this video, I just want to run across you real quick. On the 29th of October, 2021, coming up, I'm doing a 4-hour special. And it's going to be all the big topics: politics, religion, culture, and Q&A. And I'm going to take the One Chip Challenge to celebrate reaching over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So don't miss it. Put it in your calendar. Make sure you set a reminder so you don't miss any of that. It's going to be some great stuff. I got a wide variety of guests coming on each hour to discuss these big topics with me. And I'm going to put out more details during the week. With that being said, let's get to why you're really here. White Boy from Tom Macdonald. Let's see what the hype is all about. Let's get it.
I cannot feel guilty for that I didn't do, but
oh shit. See, as y'all know, I already love when Tom Macdonald gets straight to rapping. He seems to do this in a lot of his songs, and I appreciate that because here's a guy who is very lyrical and very good at saying things that have a lot of truth to it. And sometimes you just want to jump in and see what he has to say. Let's get into it. And just for those of you who are new to the channel, I pay attention to the lyrics, I pay attention to the visuals, and I pay attention to the beat, the music. So let's get back into it.
I cannot feel guilty for that I didn't do, but I can understand the reasons why you think that I should.
I don't understand the reasons. I don't agree with Tom on that. I do agree with him on the first part where he can't feel guilty for something he didn't do. This is going back to the whole passing down the sins of the father down to the son or to the daughter. We should not live in a society where you're held accountable for something, for one, you had no part in. For two, you have no say in what family you were born into. You could have easily been born a black person, a white person, a Hispanic person. It does not really matter. But I understand why some people would be upset from the beneficiaries of a system that benefited from them. And there's a conversation to be had there. But also what we can't do is hold people accountable for something they had no parts in. I agree, Tom.
I feel guilty for that I didn't do, but I can understand the reasons why you think that I should. Yeah, I'm white, but I never put your neck in no noose, and I never burnt a cross or hit my face with a hood.
Yeah, he is white. It's very noticeable. And race is so a non-factor, and it should be, because we notice that it doesn't matter if you're white, black, or whatever the case may be. People are good, people are bad. They come in different varieties, no matter what race you're a part of. And race shouldn't even be important, and it never should have been. But as flawed human beings who had to learn over time and get better, it's something that we're just now realizing. And we have a lot of work to do on making that a non-factor. And apparently the people who want that to be a non-factor the most are the people who are highly focused on keeping it a main factor. Just to point out.
That I didn't do, but I can understand the reasons why you think that I should. Yeah, I'm white, but I never put your neck in no noose, and I never burnt a cross or hit my face with a hood. You can't just...
It's so funny because you see the people, the white people in the video. This is the visuals, y'all. Pay attention. The white people in the video are looking like, man, are you saying this? Like, what are you doing, man? Like, are you serious? Why are you talking about this? And then there's black people in there, and they're looking, but the looks are different. And it seems like everybody's getting a different vibe based on their race in this video, which is very interesting. Sorry, I keep stopping it and rewinding it, but I want to make sure I'm dissecting everything that Tom Macdonald was talking about. As far as the music goes right now, I'm not the biggest fan of the beat, but the beat is nice. It's cool, and it doesn't really have to be that exciting because I think this video is more focused on the message that he's trying to push out as far as being a white boy. And so the beat is not that important, but it is nice. It's pleasant to listen to, and it's not one of the hardest hitting beats, but it doesn't have to be. And you know, Tom, sometimes he just drops that beat and you don't know what you're going to get.
I never put your neck in no noose, and I never burnt a cross or hit my face with a hood. You can't just label me racist, cause I'm related to people who did some terrible way back before I was alive.
He's not necessarily rhyming at this point, but like the fact that Tom Macdonald was saying this, there are so many people out here who feel this way. And believe it or not, if you are not somebody who's black or whatever the case may be, there are black people who agree with this message right here, who endorses this message. And apparently there are black people who were willing to be in this video at the same time, knowing what the subject matter was about. So your race has nothing to do with how you feel about these issues, because there are white people who agree or disagree with Tom. And there are a large percentage of uppity elitists who think that they understand what black people feel more than they do. Be on the watch out for that.
Me racist because I'm related to people who did some terrible way back before I was alive. My parents brought me up to treat everyone as an equal. I refuse to feel ashamed because of my pretty blue eyes.
I swear he did not rhyme. I don't, at least if I'm missing it, but I don't think Tom Macdonald is rhyming at this point. But he got something to get off his chest, right? And what we're talking about is his parents. Pay attention to this. His parents taught him to treat everybody the same. That's as simple as that. You don't need colleges, you don't need universities, you don't need public education schools to cram down on your children certain messages, because it's a parent's job to teach their children to be kind and accepting and to treat everybody fairly and equal. That's what America should be about. It's about being equal and having the same opportunities and not being discriminated against based on a feature that you can't help. Now, it's just very, very important that because somebody has white skin does not make them a racist. And Tom is saying that just because he has blue eyes doesn't make him a part of the problem. He might be fighting for your rights just as much as you are fighting for your rights. And it doesn't matter what he looks like. Facts.
Brought me up to treat everyone as an equal. I refuse to feel ashamed because of my pretty blue eyes. And not white supremacist. Anyone who labels me as that because of my family genetics. The hatred for Caucasians is so pathetic. Go be proud that you're black, but don't hate me for some credit. I'm not.
Oh man, listen. The boy is preaching. The boy is preaching, y'all. All right, listen. I'm not a fan of racial pride. I don't care what race you are. So I know Tom Macdonald is saying, well, you know, be proud to be black, but don't hate me because I'm white. I don't think that you should be proud of anything that you didn't personally achieve yourself. You didn't decide to be black. You didn't decide to have your ancestry. None of that is out of you. And you didn't accomplish the things that your ancestors accomplished. So why do you get to be proud of something you didn't do? That's my personal opinion. Now, I can understand how people can look up to or idolize people in the past who look like them, who went through certain struggles, and they can identify with that. But taking pride in something as far as your race is so arbitrary and it makes no sense. And Tom himself, I disagree with him on this. I don't think you should be proud to be whatever race, white pride, black pride. I think we should all be humans. And you could call me colorblind or whatever the case may be. It is what it is. Just because the reality ain't one way doesn't mean that I don't get to control how I treat other people and decide how I choose to live. Kudos. And that beat dropped. Nice. I know this is the version with no cursing and stuff like that, and I chose that on purpose. So if y'all wanted the cursing version or explicit version, I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
White supremacist. Anyone who labels me as that because of my family genetics. The hatred for Caucasians is so pathetic. Go be proud that you're black, but don't hate me for some credit. I'm not the.
Look at the black dudes and shit like, what? What is the dude saying? Are you serious, dude? Are you serious? Listen. Listen, there is a lot of hatred towards white heterosexual men. It's just a fact. There is a large percentage of people out there who believe that if you are a white heterosexual male, that you are somehow the root of all of their problems, and that just by being that, you are an enemy or you're complacent in a system that allows oppression. We can get into whether that's true or not. But the fact is, this ideology is not helpful, and it does not do any service to the overall questions and problems that we should be facing and trying to fix. it does not help. And believe it or not, there are people who actually think like this.
White devil, neo-Nazi, cop trying to pull the trigger. You can call me what you want, but I'd still never say the white race as a whole ain't the enemy. There's racist white people, but we're far from that collectively. What?
Yes. Judge people by being an individual, not by being a part of a group. The moment you start to judge people based on their group, you're making a big mistake. That is what you call discrimination. That is what you call prejudice. And let me explain something real quick, because Tom makes a good point here. Collectively, that when you decide that you want to group everybody into a certain problem because they share a common thing with another person, is what you're doing is the same thing that we are upset and angry about the racists in the past doing, or even the racists today. If you see a black man with a hood on walking at nighttime, it does not automatically make him a criminal. And it's that bias or that collective mindset which causes you to treat that individual as a member of a group instead of an individual. Now, you also got to realize that humans are designed and evolved biologically to see warning signs, and they react to those warning signs. So if you hear something moving in the bushes, you can stop and investigate, and you might get mauled to death by another animal. Or you could run away and then figure out exactly what happened. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be on your P's and Q's when you're dealing with something that statistically could happen to you based on a person's traits. It's just not far-fetched. Just something to point out. But it's nuanced. You got to have nuance.
Race as a whole ain't the enemy. There's racist white people, but we're far from that collectively.
White boy, don't say that. White boy, oh, you so bad. White boy, you wish you were black. White boy, dear white boy.
All right. So this hook, right? I don't hate this hook. I don't. If this is the hook, I don't hate it. I really don't. Like, I feel two ways about this hook. The first part of the hook is like, it's not an amazing hook, but on the other hand, it's fine. It's cool. It goes great with the music. And like I said, the message here is important. There are some things that I want the music to be on point or whatever, but Tom Macdonald does something, whereas he really does put the message before anything. I really do believe this. Now, he makes some great music that you can listen to, and it's awesome. And some of this stuff does grow on you. I know a couple of y'all said, listen to the song a few times, and I guarantee you it'll grow on you. And it has. A lot of his songs have grown on me, and the hooks specifically. But like, I'm in between two places on this hook. But the message is dope. I like how he got everybody singing it, the black people, the white people, the females, and the men. It's just, it really hammers home the message.
White boy, you wish you were black. White boy, dear white boy.
White boy, white noise. I can't say with my white voice. White boy.
I really like that. I really like that. Oh, it has like a I don't want to get confused here, but like it has some kind of like heavy metal type. I could have it wrong, but it's like the stressing of it. It's the stressing of it. It's like I'm into it. Like it really captures me, man. I really like that. And Tom is getting it.
White noise. I can't say with my white voice. White boys, white.
So black dude trying to calm everybody. Calm down.
Eyes don't tell me how to see it through my white eyes.
If a black man is sipping on some cognac sitting next to me, I don't assume that every black's favorite drink is Hennessy.
Man, listen. Do you know how many times somebody's told me that I was a sellout or that I was voting against my interests because I don't happen to align with a certain political ideology? Do you know that they're saying because of my skin color that I somehow have to think a certain way, behave a certain way? It just makes no sense. There is no black culture. There is no white culture. There are people with cultures, and you can be black and have a different culture than another black person. And the same goes for white people and other races as well. And so these assumptions that we make is nonsense at the end of the day, because you can do that. You're free to do that in a free country, but you're going to miss out when you start to make assumptions about other people. Because when you start to make assumptions about other people, you act accordingly, and you're going to miss out on good friendships, good conversations, and getting to know people for who they really are. Man, preach.
Sipping on some cognac sitting next to me. I don't assume that every black's favorite drink is Hennessy. I don't dislike Tanisha because her first name isn't Stephanie. Not only is that wrong, it's a waste of energy.
It's a waste of energy. Yes, mostly the things that are wrong are a waste of energy. You're going around with this chip on your shoulder, trying to decipher who's who and what's what based on things that just cannot tell you what it is. I made a video called "What Does My Skin Color Tell Me About You?" and I really recommend that y'all go check it out. And I address some of the black leadership in the black community and talking about, you know, this whole idea of using your race as a merit or using it as an excuse to be able to speak on things that you're not qualified to speak on. And you definitely, look, I make a lot of videos, and some of y'all just come for the reaction videos, but I really recommend that y'all go check out some of my debates and some of the videos that I speak specifically about these issues, because you're going to learn a lot and you're going to understand where I'm coming from. Now, I agree with Tom. I definitely agree.
Because her first name isn't Stephanie. Not only is that wrong, it's a waste of energy. Ivory or ebony, 45 or 17, we all bleed the same. Martin Luther King or Kennedy.
Oh, shit. This is the music that brings people together. He said Martin Luther King or Kennedy, whether you 15, 40, 45, 15, whatever, it don't matter. We all bleed the same. When you hurt, I'm hurt. We have empathy. We understand what each other's going through. That's one of the things that's brought us closer to reaching a place where we don't judge each other off of these stupid things. And look, the classroom, the whole setup is nice. You know, the teacher is trying to calm everybody down. It seems like Tom Macdonald just got up and just started going in, and now the whole class is reacting and erupting, and everybody's having a conversation and trying to figure out what's going on. You see people throwing paper or whatever and like throwing their hands up. The visuals is subtle and it's nice, and it really gets the point home. And I like the fact that he chose a school to do this in, because a lot of y'all know that education is a big key factor in why a lot of people believe what they believe when it comes to this stuff. Let's get it.
They're angry, I'm reciting the facts. He's white and he raps. He stole the culture right from the blacks. Okay, it's fire, but we lit the flame. He's siphoning gas. So this corny little honky man, the whitey is whack. You letting history perpetuate the hatred within. And then you... Man,
listen, we letting history perpetuate the hatred within. Oh, man. What is history for? History is for to teach you about the mistakes made in the past, the good things we did and the bad things we did, to learn from it and to grow from it. Why are we getting the wrong messages from history? We talk about how white men enslaved blacks and treated them horribly because they were black. And we didn't want to be treated we didn't want to be treated differently because of our skin color. And now, fast forward to 2021, there are people on the opposite side, black people, and even white people, who are advocating segregation, wanting people to be separate. I am not against the left. I am not against the right. I am simply just for right versus wrong. And we have to rethink the society that we're creating going forward, because introducing segregation as a positive thing is the wrong move.
Little honky man, the whitey is whack. You letting history perpetuate the hatred within. And then you paint me with the brush you painted slave owners with. Yeah.
You paint me with the brush you painted slave owners with. Oh, man. There's going to be some people who just hate this song because you're just not supposed to say this. You're not supposed to say this, Tom. What are you doing, Tom? You're not. This is like the unspoken thing, that which shall not be spoken of. And you're doing it. And not only are you doing it, you're making a song about it. You're putting it on the internet for people to agree with you. This is going to step on some toes. I can see the haters. I can see the people who totally disagree with this hating this song. I can see it, but it doesn't make him wrong.
Yeah.
White boy, don't say that. White boy, oh, you so bad. White boy.
Listen, look what the transition goes from. It goes from everybody sitting in class and throwing papers and, upset and all that. And look where it ended up. It ended up with all of the chairs being tossed together and paper all over the place. It seemed like everything erupted because everybody was so excited and so upset and angry that they just started fighting about it or just tearing up the classroom because of simple truths that people can't handle the truth. And that's the message that I'm getting from this visual right here. I hope you're seeing it.
You wish you were black, white boy, dear white boy.
White boy, white noise. I can't say with my white voice.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it, y'all. I love it. I love it. Oh, I would not expect to love this. I promise you. I would never imagine that this hook would resonate with me, even the sound of it. It's not something that I'm used to listening to. And gosh, does it not hit right? I don't know. It's something about it. I don't know if there's the voice effect that he put on it, but man.
Boy, white noise. I can't say with my white voice. White boys, white lies. Don't tell me how to see it through my white eyes.
Don't tell me how to see it through my white eyes. Don't tell me how to see it through my white eyes. But they are, Tom. There's a lot of y'all out there who they telling what y'all can see, telling y'all what y'all should think. And some of y'all are going for it. Now, I really do believe that if you are a Tom Macdonald supporter or somebody who's watching his music, I don't think y'all going for it for the most part. But there is a large percentage of white people out there who are allowing other people to tell them how they should feel and how they should react and how they should think because their problems don't matter because they're white. And Black people are going through a struggle. Black people are going through things as well. And sometimes you have to take a step back and realize that a lot of us are suffering. A lot of us are struggling. And if we don't pull ourselves together and realize that it's not necessarily important that you're going through what you're going through because of your skin color or because of this, but it's important that you are going through something. And we should be trying to mend those relationships and rise together as a society, be there for one another. So stop trying to tell people how they should view the world or what they're guilty of and start listening and being open-minded and having a conversation. And maybe y'all can come to an understanding.
Boys, white lies. Don't tell me how to see it through my white eyes.
I got a mother, a father, a sister, an auntie, an uncle, and a grandma that I picture when you're openly hating. And God willing, one day I'll have a kid of my own.
Man, listen. You are crazy if you think that anybody who has family members and will have kids one day or has kids who share their skin color are going to just sit back and accept the hatred or accept the resentment. Because even if you are justified in how you feel, these people are still human and they still have to wonder, what kind of world am I bringing my children up into? What kind of world am I sending my sister or brother and my mom or dad off into? You have to think about these things on a human level. Agreed. Fact check true. Kudos.
Grandma that I picture when you're openly hating. And God willing, one day I'll have a kid of my own. I refuse to let you blindly hate my wife and my baby. So go ahead and hate the racists. I pray for their extinction.
Go ahead and hate the racists. I pray for their extinction. Can I endorse that message? I do not like racists. I don't like racists. Nobody should like racists. Racists shouldn't like racists. There's no reason to be a freaking racist. There's no reason at all. I know I'm not stressing to y'all. I'm stressing in general about this whole situation. Just racism on any side or whatever race is just stupid. It does nothing but cause division. Man.
That you blindly hate my wife and my baby, so go ahead and hate the racists. I pray for their extinction. If you want to hate the white people, just make the distinction between the ones who want the best for everyone regardless and the ones who build the system just to smother you with hardships.
Man, listen. Yeah, let's start there. Let's just make a distinction. Find the racists, the people who are genuinely racist, and let's work together to eradicate them. Let's get them out of here. I'm not saying that you should kill them or anything. I'm saying that what we should do is we should separate the good people from the bad people from all parts of society. And I'm for it. I'm not going to defend horrible pieces of crap, but make a distinction. Stop grouping everybody into the same pot, because you're causing more problems than you're solving. Let's just put it like that. The outcome that you're trying to get, you won't get it that way.
Stop before you say it. I know what you've been thinking. How's a straight white male in 2018? You're making me the villain by demonizing my race for things I didn't do and decisions I didn't make.
Yeah, when we went over that again, I know he's reiterating something that he's already said, and that's the gist of the song, really. It's just the boldness of it, but also the flow is nice. The flow is good. I really kind of wish that I had listened to the explicit version. I don't really like hearing the words being edited out, but some of the black guys in here are not feeling this, and they're throwing stuff. And some guys are listening and paying attention and taking notes. So it goes to show you that you can't reach everybody, but you can reach few, and you never know who they're going to be able to reach. And it goes forward and moves on. And that's how we progress in society. And I'm just 100% with it. I'm just 100% with it. I love the vision.
Me the villain by demonizing my race for things I didn't do and decisions I didn't make. No one that I call a friend has ever owned a slave, and neither did our dads or our dads' dads. Sakes acknowledging atrocities were wrongly committed is all that I can offer when I'm wrongly convicted.
Acknowledging the atrocities that was wrongfully committed is all that I can offer you. Listen, oh man, yes, let's talk about that for a second. There are people talking about reparations. There are people talking about, social justice and making right the wrongs of history. And yet they're asking people who were not a part of this, who had no control over it, to be the ones to do it. Now, if you're asking that we're going through a hard time and we need help, that help should be able to come from anybody. That could be a neighbor. It doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what gender they are. If you're looking for help and you want to heal and you need to get to a certain place in life, that's different. And we should do that regardless of race. But when you start to demand from people that they pay up something that is out of their control, I mean, look, there's a lot of poor white people. There are a lot of white people who are not the descendants of slaves. And there are black people who are actually descendants of slave owners. And it's a mixed batch. And we're all related somewhere down the line. And some people, it's hard to quantify what people are suffering from and what the actual cause of it is. In some cases, you can point directly to racism. In many cases, you cannot. And you have to be able to quantify that. So pay attention to the message, and the message will open up the door for a real conversation. Thank you, Tom.
Atrocities were wrongly committed is all that I can offer when I'm wrongly convicted. I would never hate a man for what God gave him in pigments, and I would never plot against him just because he is different.
That should be it. That should be it. Anybody calling Tom Macdonald a racist, calling him a bigot, calling him whatever, you're wrong. The man is clearly telling you, and he's spending his time and effort to point out the fact that he does not hate you because of your pigment. He doesn't. He just doesn't. So disagree with the message if you want. Have a conversation. Figure out exactly where you agree and disagree. Where do you think he's wrong? But don't start using the label of a racist unless a person is actually a racist. And we have to do better with that, because so many people are just throwing around these words and they're losing their meaning. Racism means nothing. I made a video about that as well. Check it out. But man, powerful stuff. Powerful stuff.
I would never judge a human for the cards he was given or call him lesser than myself because of the race that he's mixed with. White people that you hate aren't your neighbors or lawyers. They're the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bushes, and Royals.
All right, so now what we're talking about is classism. And everybody understands classism. If it's one thing that you should be able to come together about, is the fact that the people at the top, the multi-millionaires and billionaires who have generational wealth, a lot of millionaires built their own wealth. I'm not saying that just because you're a millionaire or billionaire that you somehow are a part of the problem. What I'm saying is there are those people who have influence and power who are using it negatively so that they can benefit from it, and everybody suffers because of it. So if you really want to point the finger at anybody, those should be the people you're going after. That's what Tom is really talking about.
They're the people who monopolized the water and oil and injected your communities with drugs that they spoil. Got no patience for Nazis. I think they're better off dead.
I ain't got no patience for Nazis either. I'm not into the whole white supremacist mindset. And I mean, look, Americans, we fought the Nazis. I mean, why is it that people who are American are claiming to be Nazis or deciding to take on that ideology? For the life of me, it makes no sense. It's illogical. It's not rational, and it's just toxic. And it's toxic. And what they're doing is they're creating a void where people are just stuffing all of their fears into, and it comes out the other end, and it's applied to everybody who they think shares your characteristics. Bad optics. Bad thing to do.
Your communities with drugs that they spoiled. Got no patience for Nazis. I think they're better off dead. Now fighting hatred with hatred, making the hate more intense. I don't want nothing to do with either side of the fence.
Fighting hatred with hatred and make them more. Two wrongs don't make a right. We've heard this. I know pretty much anybody's heard this at one point. Two wrongs do not make a right. Just because somebody wronged you, you going out and doing wrong again, that only amplifies it. And it's just like the case with gangbangers. And I have some experience with this whole mindset of you kill my cousin, so I go kill your cousin. And now that I killed your cousin, now you want to kill my brother. And then I go kill your brother. And now you want to kill my father. And just the hate continues and it just builds up and builds up. And then we end up passing that hate on to future generations. And now we're fighting and arguing about something that our great-great-granddaddy had going on. And we don't even really truly understand what the beef was about in the first place. And it's hard to put a stop to that because everybody has lost something. And the moment you invest so much into something, the harder it is to let go, because you feel like if you let go, all of your sacrifices were for nothing. And we see that with wars and stuff like that going on in the world today. So somebody has to be the one to say, just stop. We end it here. Be the bigger person.
With hatred, making the hate more intense. I don't want nothing to do with either side of the fence. So don't blindly attack me for wearing braids on my head. Hate the people who believe.
Tom's always talking about the cultural appropriation thing. So don't hate him for wearing the braids on his head.
You put yourselves in the ghetto. Hate the ones who teach their children you ain't because they said so. Hate the ones who think you're all the same and judge you profusely because the way that you're portrayed on our news and in movies.
Hate those people. Everybody know the media has a big interest in pushing all the negativity. If a white person is killed by a police officer, you won't see national coverage of that for days and days on ends, and national investigations and all of these conversations. You won't see that. And if you do see it, it's very rare. It's not nowhere near on the level that they will push it when a black man is killed by a police officer or something like that. They have an agenda, and these are the people who are manipulating us and tearing us apart. And it doesn't matter if you're conservative, liberal, libertarian, if you don't have any label at all and you're just sitting on the middle of the fence. So if you're not sitting on the fence at all, they have an interest in keeping us divided, because as long as we're divided, we're not paying attention to the same people that Tom Macdonald brought up earlier, the ones who are benefiting from this. And for the life of me, if we don't put it to a stop, they will win. And that's the end of the American story.
Being white and being racist aren't the same, man, I promise. No, it's hard to tell the difference if I'm just being honest.
Now, look, check out one black dude in the corner is just still shaking his head like, no, he's just not with it. The other black guy right next to him is in deep thought. He's sitting there. He's focused. He's learning. He's understanding. He's open-minded. That is beautiful. The contrast and the comparison there is beautiful. I'm that guy sitting there paying attention and listening. And maybe I have a rebuttal and some critique here and there, but I am focused because I guarantee you that black guy in this video, what he's supposed to represent is that person who's going to make the difference. That guy who's going to take a risk and take a chance and reach out to the other side and try to have an open dialogue and get somewhere. That's what that is important.
I deserve the chance to show you I'm not part of the problem, and you owe it to yourselves. We got so much in common.
White boy.
Yes. Kudos. You owe it to yourself. If you want to fix these problems, you have to do this. There's no way around it. You have to listen. You have to talk. You have to have a dialogue if you want to fix the problem. And those people who are not willing and interested in doing that, they're not really trying to fix the problem. They have a vested interest in keeping the problem going because it validates them. It gives them purpose. It gives them a sense of identity that they can identify with. And that's what they're really fighting for, to keep it going, because they don't know what else they would do without it. Trust me. We see the race hustlers, and they've been spending their whole lives race hustling. Man, I've been going on for a minute with this, but man, it's deep. It's deep. You got to talk about it.
Don't say that, white boy. Oh, you so bad, white boy. You wish you were black, white boy. Dear white boy.
White boy.
The teacher's crying. The teacher's crying, yo. Oh man, the teacher crying. He in tears. Look at him. He in tears, y'all. This is deep. This is deep.
Black, white boy. Dear white boy.
White boy. White. No one say. I can't say with my white voice.
Man, I just would love to be at a concert and everybody just screaming this like, like, get it, get it, get it.
White boys, white lies. Don't tell me how to see it through my white eyes.
White boy, don't say that, white boy. Oh, you so bad.
Now people throwing stuff at him and still, it's like, just imagine standing amongst a crowd of people where some people agree with you, but the people who don't agree with you, they're attacking you, they're throwing stuff at you, and you still continuously deciding to send your message out. That's what it must have felt like to be Martin Luther King. That's what it must have felt like to be somebody standing up amongst the crowd, amongst a whole variety of people who hate you for just telling the truth, to be ostracized. It's a hard thing to do, but the more people who do it, the better we all are. And everybody could be a hero every single day just by telling the truth.
White boy, you wish you were black, white boy, dear white boy.
Man, can I get an amen? Y'all give me an amen. Yo, so let's do the ranking and I'll get up out of here. All right. So with that being said, out of the whole song, let's judge the visuals. The visuals, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. The visuals were great. They were awesome. It wasn't the most spectacular visuals because it was a simple concept, but there was so much there to actually show you and to get the point across. If you just watch the video, you might understand what's going on. He did a great job at that. Nova, great job. So I'll give it 8 out of 10. When it comes to the beat, the music, I'm going to give the music 6 out of 10. The music wasn't all that, but sorry about that, y'all. But the music wasn't all that, but it didn't need to be. But it was great, 6 out of 10. And I'll give the lyrics, the message, 10 out of 10. You got it, Tom. I bow down. You got it. Thank y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all so much for listening. This your boy Javier. Make sure you say it twice. Till next time, everybody. Be peaceful and be great. I'm out.
1 in a million to 1 villain. Too hot to be in the kitchen. I'll end up melting the ceiling.